So Nathan Ty and Charlie Humphreys will start on the front row of the starting grid for the birelART cadets. In the juniors, this is just about as unpredictable as it gets. There are 20 of them on the starting grid, and yesterday, about 17 of them were covered by half a second. So how on earth we're going to separate them at the front end of the grid is anybody's guess. The whistle goes, and we're getting ready for the start of qualifying. It is time to see these 20 drivers battle away for supremacy at the front end of the grid. I genuinely can't call this one, guys. So many drivers have the chance to take pole position. Obviously, you've got to look to the title contenders, Harry Graham, Callum Gunning and Dylan Reid at the front end of the championship. But Toby Baldry was particularly fast yesterday, so I assume he's going to be very quick again. Scott Huntley is always one to keep an eye on. Nicky Taylor was particularly strong through the course of yesterday as well, as was Connor Brown, who was particularly fast towards the end of practice yesterday. And one driver in particular, I think everybody's keeping a steely eye on, is Alicia Parmowski. She suddenly has seemed to have hit a curveball and is up there in the top end of the grid in testing yesterday. She was only 0.4 of a second away from pole position. That's the best she's ever been in this series in the 2018 campaign. In what is, let's not forget, only her 5th weekend in the championship. So it's very exciting to see who's going to go for it. We're going to get a very exciting battle over the course of the next few minutes. One of the drivers who was competing in the championship last year in the birelART Juniors, still very avidly a fan of the championship and missing us all very much indeed. Will Martin, who has now gone on to the Ginetta Juniors, is watching from home. Go Zach, go Morgan, cheering on Zach Parkinson and Morgan Cole. Still great friends in the paddock in 2018, despite the fact that Will Martin is no longer racing in the championship. But we all hope for the moment that he'll come back. His Ginetta Junior campaign, of course, very much on his mind at the moment. And great to see, you know, so many talented racing drivers have come out of the birelART UK Series paddock over the years and gone on to big things. You've only got to look at Will Martin, who's now racing in Ginetta Juniors, Esme Hawkey a few years back, who was the runner-up in the junior category and is now racing Porsches in Britcar and GT Cup racing. And of course, there's Jake Hughes, who is now winning races in the GP3 series on the Formula One bill. So that just shows you really can go from the birelART UK Series to Formula One. It is doable, and Jake Hughes is not far away from that. In fact, he's already being touted as a reserve driver for a Formula One team in 2019. So it's very exciting to see that you can go from this birelART UK Series paddock. Fantastic racing, great energy, amazing atmosphere, and very friendly rivalry between the drivers, but always good fun. And you can make that move to Formula One. It is possible from the birelART UK Series paddock, as Jake Hughes is proving. First laps out of the blocks, George Whitehouse has hit the front right away. Dylan Reid in second from Tom Harvey and Tom Davison. Ben Gartside now in 5th position from Callum Gunning, Zach Parkinson, Alicia Parmowski. Graham goes to the top straight away. Harry Graham, the championship battler, who has won more races than anybody else this season, is now leading the way. Not the only driver watching along at home who is very much missed in the championship paddock as well. Sky Siddle, who was racing in the juniors and winning last year, is watching the stream at home and sends her good luck message to everyone in the paddock. And obviously, Sky Siddle is one of those drivers who we're all hoping is going to come back and do the seniors one day with her sparring partner, Amy Jurger, who you'll see out on track a little bit later on as well. Dylan Reid at the front end of the field, though, 0.138 seconds now in front of George Whitehouse from Graham and Scott Huntley. Tom Harvey is still there in the top 5, as up to second place again, up to the lead now goes Dylan Reid. Scott Huntley, 4th position. Harvey, Davison, Baldry, Parkinson, Gunning and Cunliffe. Very close indeed in the top 10. 0.4 of a second between them all at this point in proceedings. 21 drivers out there on the circuit putting in laps. One who wasn't here from testing yesterday, of course, Will Vincent, who had an injury at the start of the season and couldn't compete. Nicky Taylor now goes to the top on a 43.261. That's a good lap from Nicky Taylor. He's been adamant all season long. This is the year I'm going to win my first birelART UK Series final. I'm going to do it. And he thinks that maybe this is the weekend to do it. Tom Harvey, meanwhile, goes up to 3rd place. I have a feeling he could go for pole position here. The cadet runner-up from 2017 has been absolutely lightning in his transition to juniors. Toby Baldry now comes up into 6th position. Where's the championship rivals? Harry Graham and Callum Gunning. Well, Graham is now in 6th, Gunning is in 9th. Scott Huntley goes to the top of them all, 43.165. Pole position could be in the 42s in juniors if they keep this kind of pace up. They're running out of time to do it, but 5 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. There's still a lot to come in this qualifying session. Scott Huntley leads from Taylor, Reed, Harvey, Whitehouse, Graham, Baldry. Up into 11th comes Ben Gartside, just tucking in behind Joe Sheppy, who has now broken into the top 10 himself. Parkinson is 12th, from Cunliffe in 13th, Brown in 14th, then it's Parmowski, still only half a second off the pole position, but down in 15th, Jack Rigg, Morgan Cole, Dylan Brierley, Lewis Berry, Will Vincent, and Vijay Ramlal. It's going to be quite a battle this weekend for the Battle of the Novices, because Vijay Ramlal has returned, and so making his debut in the championship finally is Will Vincent, who we're very glad to see has overcome his injury woes and is now back in the paddock where he belongs. Scott Huntley in front of Nicky Taylor, Dylan Reed, Tom Harvey, George Whitehouse and Harry Graham is the top six. As up to 7th goes Tom Davison. Him and Harry Graham are stuck together like glue every weekend we go. Great mates, those two. And good to see them in the same part of the racetrack at the moment. Alicia Parmowski comes up to 14th. Connor Brown's up to 12th. Graham now goes to 4th. Baldry goes to 2nd. Toby Baldry is particularly important to watch this weekend. This time out here at Glan Y Gors Park, he really seems to have hit a bit of a sweet spot, and his kart is going beautifully in his hands at the moment. Huntley still looking for pole position at the moment. Baldry in 2nd, Taylor 3rd from Reed, Graham, Harvey, Whitehouse, Davison and Callum Gunning. Joe Sheppy is 10th from Gartside, then it's Connor Brown, Zach Parkinson, Alicia Parmowski, then it's Cunliffe, Rigg, Brierley, Cole, Berry, Vincent and Ramlal. Great to see a full capacity grid of juniors this time. As the drivers are battling away, these races are going to be so unpredictable. We've had so many drivers over the last 36 hours hitting the top spot in the junior battle. Scott Huntley is going to come through and complete this lap. Can he increase his 43.165 advantage? Not this time. It's not a faster lap this time around. Tom Davison back into 8th position again, pipping Callum Gunning. That will definitely be a feather in the cap there. But Gunning has displaced him again, up into 8th place on a 43.411. Sam Cunliffe's made up 3 places now as well with his last lap on a 43.557, has gone up to 12th place. The leading rookie is still Alicia Parmowski in 15th position. A little bit of a bucking bronco ride there for Nicky Taylor as he ends up overshooting a little bit there into the tough braking zone at the top of the spoon. So that puts him out of joint a little bit there. But Scott Huntley leading the way from Toby Baldry and Nicky Taylor. Dylan Reed in 4th from Graham, Harvey, Whitehouse, Gunning, Davison and Sheppy. Up to 11th now comes Connor Brown. Just a whisker in front of Ben Gartside and Sam Cunliffe. Parkinson still there in 14th from Alicia Parmowski. Lewis Berry definitely seems to have found the pace he was lacking yesterday. He was a good second away from the pace most of the way through testing yesterday, but now he seems to have found the kart that he likes in a good setup, and he's only 0.8 of a second away from the top spot now. 1.4 seconds covers the entire field in the juniors. And if you take into account the fact that Vincent and Ramlal are still learning as novices, then the whole field could potentially be covered by less than a second. Really exciting battles in this birelART UK Series paddock. Connor Brown up into the top 10 now, makes his way just 0.6 of a second off the back of Tom Davison's best lap. So Connor Brown is well into that top 10. And as they continue to pound around, they've only got 1 minute and 42 on the clock, so they're going to be fighting very hard indeed as the drivers continue to battle. Really exciting battles around the circuit as the drivers continue to make progress. There's Alicia Parmowski, the leading rookie, 125, running around the circuit at the moment with the likes of Ben Gartside. Great performance this weekend from Alicia Parmowski. She's done an absolutely fantastic job. How about this though? Looking at that top 10, it's incredible. Less than 0.3 of a second covering the top 10. In fact, the top 3 are covered by less than 0.1 of a second at the moment. It's absolutely amazing. And going all the way down the field, the top 19 karts are covered by 0.8 of a second. I tell you what, these birelART chassis with these fantastic engines and the Vega tyres, it really does produce no-nonsense, close quarters racing. Absolutely fantastic. It's always exciting when these guys come out to play. Lewis Berry's now displaced Morgan Cole. That's much more the sort of speed he was after. Lewis Berry now only 7/10 away from pole position. Yesterday was a bit of a nightmare in terms of his testing, but now Lewis Berry is back on pace. I think it's going to be a bit of a close battle between him and Alicia Parmowski for the top novice again, as it has been for the last 4 weekends. There's Tom Davison. He's really starting to get a bit more confidence in him now. He's only 0.2 of a second away from the top spot. He's always had that speed, Tom Davison. It's been the confidence that really has been lacking. Now, in 2018, he has got himself into a good rhythm and a good flow. He likes the way he's driving, and he's getting much better. Callum Gunning, meanwhile, up into 4th position now. And crucially, Gunning is 2 places ahead of his main championship rival, Harry Graham, with in the middle of them, in 5th position, Dylan Reed. So the 3 battlers for the title, Gunning, Reed and Graham, are in 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. The checkered flag is out. Cunliffe is the first one to take it, and the best he can hope for in this session is 13th. Looking for a last improvement. The top 6 drivers covered by less than 0.15. Across the line they come. No major changes in the last flying lap, but it's going to be Scott Huntley who goes off pole position for the first race of the day from Toby Baldry in 2nd place. He'll be delighted with that sort of pace. 3rd for Nicky Taylor, another one who's really hoping for a race victory this season. Callum Gunning in 4th from Dylan Reed and Harry Graham. Tom Harvey there in 7th place ahead of George Whitehouse, Connor Brown and Tom Davison. What a top 10 that is. It's going to be really exciting from the get-go. Joe Sheppy 11th from Guardside, Cunliffe and Parkinson. Alicia Parmowski and Lewis Berry now only separated by less than 1/10 of a second. That's going to make a really exciting battle with Jack Rigg, Dylan Briley, Morgan Cole, Will Vincent and Vijay Ramlal. Brilliant battle there in the top 21, and standing beside me watching along is the series coordinator Andy Cox. It's been absolutely fantastic watching these guys in cadets and juniors. It's very close, and it just seems to be getting closer every round.
Well, I have to say that timing screen makes me very, very pleased and very, very proud, because obviously we build all the engines and continuity. I think you can see on the screen there's no thousands of pounds engines in this series. The car and the engine is one. Everybody is on a service schedule, and to see how close that is and how good the drivers are, I think that's the closest grid we've ever seen there. I mean, what up to 12th place, 0.392. That's incredible, and on a long lap here. I think we've seen quite close qualifying at Clay, which is a short lap, but it's a big old track here at GYG, and you would say it would be an engine track here, but you can see there's little or no difference.
It's fantastic to see, because these drivers are obviously learning by doing. A lot of them are basically in this championship as their main category, and this is the first time they're really taking on national racing in birelART UK Series. But looking at how close the gap is, I mean, you've got drivers who have done different championships through to the ones who are brand new, and all the way through 1.4 seconds covering the entire field. It's astonishing how close it is.
Well, when we all go fun karting and corporate karting, unfortunately there's always a difference in the karts. Obviously at the top of our sport in karting, it is insanely expensive now, which predominantly is who's got the quickest engine. With our drivers here in all the categories, you can see that the drivers are actually developing themselves. And when it gets as close as that, you do need a level playing field. Everybody hasn't got an endless bank account, and also, we've got such fantastic racing, as we'll see later on. Yeah, I'm very proud of that session, I have to say, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, beaming from ear to ear. And now we've got the Super Elites coming up, which has been one of the major success stories of the paddock this year, looking at how you've had to combine 2 categories on the same card, 125cc's, the Elites and Masters. You raised the minimum weight level of one class, lowered the minimum weight level of the other, but one of the things that's been really refreshing to see is how both classes, in effect, in one championship, have had a crack at the front. There've been one driver, okay, to a certain extent, Sam Faulkner has got the best of it most times, often than not, but through each session, We've seen a lot of the Supermasters drivers from last year at the front end, at the front of this grid outright. So it's been great to see. There's a nice competitive streak as you see some of the juniors from last year who have stepped up, the likes of Tyrone Stansfield and Harry Barlow and Tom Massarella and Oliver Moy coming in and being in the top 10 straight away, with the Elites leading guard from last year and the Masters leading guard. They're all mixed in together. It makes fantastic racing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a difficult thing to do, really, to try to come up with a formula, you know, with the weights. And again, as we'll see in a moment with the times, to get the minimum weight right in the middle, which obviously is now 164.
The beautiful Welsh countryside here in Denbighshire has given us some fantastic scenery and a wonderful backdrop in the birelART UK series. But the juniors are up next in what is proving to be a sensational battle. The junior brigade from the front to the back is about 1.4 seconds in total. And from the two rookies who are still developing and still getting up to speed, if they were at the same sort of pace, then basically it would be an absolutely incredible run. Well, what an absolutely fantastic performance it has been from the cadets. And as Scott Huntley lines up on the front of the grid, we've got some messages from home as the drivers in the cadets have been congratulated. Grandma was very happy, by the way, Riley. She was very delighted with the performance in your first ever race. Absolutely brilliant, she said, from home. And obviously the juniors are now getting themselves lined up in the holding area. The dummy grid is not far away. Drivers getting themselves ready for position. The quality and technical ability and skill in this field is absolutely fantastic. Joyce Spur writes, well done, Nathan Jr. Would have liked to have seen you go over the finish line from Nan and Grandad Chicken. Nathan, a full 8 seconds clear of the rest of the field. I'm sure you'll see him cross the line a couple more times today. His pace is good, no major problems, and it's looking likely to be a perfect hat-trick at the moment for Nathan Tighe. However, this is motorsport. This is the birelART UK Series paddock. You never, ever know. So at the front end of the grid, it's going to be two of the main brigade from last year, Scott Huntley and Toby Baldry, who have hit a bit of a sweet spot again this weekend here at Glan Y Gors Park. Scott Huntley in first position on the grid, and the Senna fanboys in operation, of course, in the Huntley Brigade as they wear that livery, which is, of course, in tribute to the MP44 McLaren, which was the car that took Ayrton Senna to his championship trophy, the first of his Formula One world titles, 30 years ago this year. And that's why Scott Huntley carries that particular livery on his card. He's a massive Senna fan, and it's great to see that livery on a go-kart, actually. It looks absolutely awesome. Toby Baldry alongside him on the front row of the starting grid. He's going to be a tough one to beat here today. He was very fast yesterday in the practice session in the number 9, so we'll see how well he goes. Third position on the grid, the number 4 of Nicky Taylor. He is definitely one to keep an eye on because over the course of this season, he's been frustratingly close to that top spot and has never actually made it, and he is adamant, this year is my year to win. I'm going to win races in the birelART UK Series paddock. Just watch. And I'm going to make it happen. Fourth on the grid is the man who came straight out of the blocks at Llandau and took a hat-trick in brilliant style, Callum Gunning, who was looking like a dominant force by the time we got to Clay Pigeon, had won 5 races out of 5, and then the man directly behind him on the starting grid, Harry Graham, spoilt the party somewhat and has been winning quite consistently over the course of the weekends since then. Alongside Harry Graham on that third row of the grid is the man who's really started to come alive in this latter part of the season. Dylan Reed is very much the man on form and has been unlocking bags of speed everywhere we go. The man directly behind him on the starting grid, though, has been the pleasantly surprised package of the season, the 124 of Tom Harvey, who was last year's cadet runner-up and is now a front runner straight out of the blocks in juniors. It's amazing to see how he's adapted to this car so ridiculously quickly, and the battles are going to be raging all the way through. Another pleasant surprise alongside him on the starting grid is going to be George Whitehouse, who's again right up there in the top 10 where he deserves to be. Megan is about to wave them out of the grid with a green flag. So let's talk you through the grid in full detail as they come out of the grid, ready for the racing. Scott Huntley and Toby Baldry on that front row of the starting grid, very close together in qualifying, not even a tenth of a second between them. Nikki Taylor in the mix there as well, in third place, along with Callum Gunning. Then on the third row it is Dylan Reed and Harry Graham. Three of those drivers, race winners this year, Gunning, Reed and Graham. Tom Harvey, seventh, is not far away from it, with George Whitehouse on the fourth row of the starting grid in eighth. Then in ninth and 10th, rounding out the top 10, is Connor Brown and Tom Davison, two drivers who have really started to find their feet in this particular phase of the championship. Joe Sheppy right up at the front end again as well, where he deserves to be. Ben Gartside continuing to make progress in 12th position. Sam Cunliffe, the E-plate, and the man with the Ayrton Senna tribute lid in 13th place, with Zach Parkinson in 14th place, still making good progress. The rookie battle continues between Alicia Parmowski and Lewis Berry, and there's not even a tenth of a second between them now. Jack Rigg and Dylan Briley still very close to the front end, but still needing to make a little bit more progress if they want to be in the top 10. And then Morgan Cole and Will Vincent making his debut in the 2018 season. Will Vincent having missed the first 4 rounds due to injury. Vijay Ramlal is there in 21st position as well. So there'll be victory battles and great racing from the front of the grid to the back. Round 5 here at Glan Y Gors Park is going to be absolutely fantastic and sensational battling all the way through the weekend in the juniors. This glorious Glan Y Gors Park circuit, really exciting racing to watch, and fantastic, fast, furious, frenetic, and incredibly close battles. In the juniors, it is so close. We genuinely haven't got a clue who's going to emerge as the final winner. When you look at the fact that the entirety of this grid in qualifying was covered by 1.4 seconds, and 2 of those drivers are still getting up to speed, that is absolutely phenomenal. We have got some great quality in the junior grid in 2018, and we're going to keep having that sort of quality as the battle continues for supremacy. Junior drivers just filtering their way round and out of the final turn. I think we're going to get a clean start first time of asking. Yes, we are, and away we race. Toby Baldry's going to try and carry the speed right round the outside. There's a lot of marbles on the far side, but he's still there, side by side with Scott Huntley as they come up the hill. This is going to be a great charge to the right-hand complex. Everybody through cleanly for the moment, but Scott Huntley's broken clear, and Gunning's into second place. Gunning has come through in a second position and is now fending off Harry Graham, who has now been held up. Nikki Taylor's through in a third, Baldry's through in a fourth. Great racing at the start of this one, but it is Scott Huntley who has broken clear in the lead of the race. A fantastic getaway from Huntley. He really needed to stamp his authority on the lead of this race, but he's now got Gunning, Taylor, Baldry, and potentially Dylan Reed, but no, Harry Graham holds him back as they go through the compression complex. Huntley's got a few kart lengths on the lead here in front of Gunning, Taylor, Baldry, Graham, Reed, Whitehouse, Davison, Gardside, and Tom Harvey. Cracking start, nobody off on the first lap, so it's always going to be a close battle in this class, but Huntley's got 0.6 of a second on Gunning at the end of the first lap. It's going to be very difficult to hold him at bay from there. There's a long way to go, and as they come off the top of the hill, still a few drivers jostling for position as Connor Brown looks for a move on the inside of Zach Parkinson and has to hang back. He's never going to get that move done. So they come off into the compression complex once again. Huntley still out in front, but not by much. Gunning and Taylor very close together. Baldry and Graham. Then it's Reed and Whitehouse. As far as Scott Huntley is concerned, he wants Nikki Taylor to make the move for second place, because if that happens, it backs the whole field up. So Nikki Taylor's going to try and go for that second position, or will he work with Gunning to try and close up on Scott Huntley? For the moment, it is a very intense battle. In the rookie class, it is Parmowski in front of Berry for the moment, but Vincent fractionally in front of Vijay Ramlal. So a great battle in the novices as well. There's up the inside. Baldry's going to make the move for Taylor. Baldry goes up in a third position and makes the move on Nikki Taylor. So he's going to get after Callum Gunning. But still, Scott Huntley has very nearly a second's advantage on the pack at the moment, which at this phase of the race is absolutely astonishing. He seems to have got up and had his Weetabix this morning, because he is absolutely on it, really going strong at the end of the third lap. Huntley's still out in front with the gap now 1.1. Baldry in third, Fourth is Taylor, then it's Graham, Reed, Whitehouse, Guardside, Harvey, Davison, Parkinson, Cunliffe, and then we have Connor Brown making up the progress there in the move as well. As up the inside, Nicky Taylor's going to try and make the move for third, and right round the outside, Harry Graham's made the move for third. So Baldry and Taylor have compromised each other. Reed is going to try and get back up the inside of George Whitehouse to hang on to the move. He's got past Nicky Taylor in the process. So up into fifth position comes Dylan Reed. And Harry Graham has made light work of all of that to move up into third position, and he's broken clear. So Gunning in second, Graham in third, and all of this has given Scott Huntley even more of an advantage out front. The gap has opened up to 1.4 now out front. So Huntley leads, Gunning second, then it's Graham. Baldry, Reed, Taylor, Whitehouse, Guardside, Harvey and Davison. They get up to the braking zone at the top end of the hill once again. Up the inside, that's a move from Guardside. He's got through on the inside of George Whitehouse, and Guardside gets through. Harvey's going to try and come right round the outside of Whitehouse too, and that is not quite going to happen. So Harvey has to hang back in behind George Whitehouse. Great racing. They come off the compression complex once again into the left-hander, dropping down the hill. Careful on the inside as Taylor goes for Reed. A little bit too hungry there. He was not going to make that move stick. And that's held up the field once more. Meanwhile, Harry Graham is closing up on Callum Gunning, big style. He's just set the fastest lap of the race. Harry Graham is charging after Gunning. Scott Huntley, meanwhile, looks like he's going to get his first win of the weekend in the first race of the weekend. As up the inside, Graham makes for second. Graham gets into second, and Gunning is still alongside him. They're going to go side by side down the hill, squeezing each other out. This isn't just a battle of the position. This is effectively the championship battle, and Graham has made it through in a second. Now, that will have cost them a good couple of tenths, so that could see Scott Huntley's lead open up to about 2 seconds. In fact, I think it's even more than that. They drop down the hill once more. Toby Baldry's broken away from the pack too. He's closing in on these two guys as Huntley takes the lead and continues out in front. The gap has opened up to 2.2. Goodness me, 2.2 after 6 laps. That's practically half a minute. Up the hill, still Callum Gunning threatening Harry Graham at this point of proceedings. Toby Baldry getting close to them, and up the inside, that's Guardside, making another great move. Guardside is absolutely on the prowl, up in a 5th position now, past Nicky Taylor. Guardside is the man on the move now. Brilliant racing from the 93, as Guardside is now well and truly in command of this little train of carts. Taylor is in there next, then it's Reed, Whitehouse and Tom Harvey. The next queue is led by Sam Cunliffe, who's made his way up to 10th place. He's dropped away from Connor Brown. Brown has dropped back a little bit. Then it's Parmowski in front of Joe Sheppy. And then we have Dylan Briley from Morgan Cole, Lewis Berry and Jack Rigg, who's made up quite a few places. Then we've got Vincent and Ramlal. And it looks as though we've had 2 carts fall back down the order. Yes, it looks to me as though we've had Zach Parkinson and Tom Davison trip over each other, and that's where they've lost ground. Taylor back up the inside of Guardside. No chance. Guardside chops across the nose. Well defended there as they come off the turn once more. Taylor's going to try again, potentially into the 3rd right complex, but he's not quite close enough, as Toby Baldry is tightening on the grip from Callum Gunning as they close in on Harry Graham. But Scott Huntley's got good pace. He continues to lead at the end of the 8th lap. Graham is chipping away at it though, so Graham is closing in on Scott Huntley. He's taken 0.2 of a second out of him on that last lap, but with the time we've got left, 2 minutes, I'm not sure he's going to catch him closely enough. They come off the top of the hill, and Huntley's lead looking pretty insurmountable at the moment as Taylor again tries to get up the inside of Ben Guardside, who's not going to let him through. Ben Guardside's having the race of his season at the moment, up in a 5th place, working hard here to shake off not just any old drivers, but Taylor, Reed, Whitehouse and Harvey. Brilliant to see these guys battling away. And now, having fallen off the tail of that train behind him, Sam Cunliffe is closing up. I don't think Harvey's going to have it all his own way very soon. Connor Brown's trying to close in on that gap as well, taking Alicia Parmowski and Joe Sheppy along for the ride. Out of the final turn, goodness me, Parmowski getting bags of oversteer out of the turn as the back end steps out, but she gets the cart stopped before Joe Sheppy overtakes. As up the hill they come once again. George Whitehouse trying to get past Dylan Reed. No major changes there. But Scott Huntley still leads the way by 1.9 seconds with time running out. A minute to go. Guardside is hanging on in front of Nicky Taylor, Dylan Reed and George Whitehouse. This is a brilliant drive from Guardside, who is going great here at Glan Y Gors. Up the inside, there's a battle for third position as Baldry's going to try and make the move for Gunning. A little further ahead of these guys, they're going to come across the line together and up the hill. Baldry's got Gunning on a breakaway. Here they come through the first corner. Baldry's lining up Gunning for a move into third position. He gets alongside him. That's a great exit out of the final turn, and Baldry through into third. Gunning's going to try and get straight back onto him, but Toby Baldry has got this one made. Beautiful move. Toby Baldry set that move up half a lap ago at the exit of the compression complex. Nicely done as Taylor again has a look at Gartside further back and can't get the move done. But Baldry started on the front row and he's back in a third position past Callum Gunning. But the man who's made the most progress easily is Harry Graham, who has fought his way back into contention in second place. There he is as he goes through the compression complex. Baldry in third in front of Callum Gunning. Last lap, and I don't think that 1.7 advantage of Scott Huntley is going to get eaten into much now. It's been an absolute masterclass performance out front. Scott Huntley, easily the most boring race of his entire career out in front, but that's the way he's wanted it for a long, long time. So Scott Huntley dropping down the hill as he comes through the top end section. This battle for fifth place is still going strong as Gartside hangs on in front of Taylor and Gunning and Gartside. But now it is the victory dais, as out of the final few corners, we've got Scott Huntley coming through for the victory into the last turn. And Scott Huntley has made mincemeat of the opposition across the line. He takes the victory for the first race of the weekend. 1.3 seconds clear of the fastest man of the race, Harry Graham, who took half a second out of him on that last lap. Scott Huntley couldn't care less. What a victory. A great start to the weekend for the number 6. Baldry in third place, a good fight back for him as Callum Gunning beats home Ben Gartside in fourth and fifth with Taylor in sixth place. Reed and Whitehouse from Cunliffe and Tom Harvey in the top 10. Great battle, great racing, and Scott Huntley begins the weekend as he means to go on with a jubilant victory out front. Speaking of jubilant victories out front, the man standing right next to me is a man who's got an awful lot of fans back home watching. I have to say, Nathan Ty Jr., you really did disappear out there in that cadet race. That must have been quite boring, actually.
Well, I wish there was a bit more battling since it was just an ordinary race. Not many people able to stay with me since. I'm not trying to say anything that I'm the best or not, but I hope for a big battle in the next race.
So were you able to control the pace of that one, or were you pushing quite hard to get away?
Well, at first I was pushing. At the end I realised I had a big gap, so I just trying to save the tyres and keep it going.
2 more races to go. Can we do that again 2 more times then, potentially?
Well, every race is longer, so I hope for a bigger gap.
Well done, Nathan. Good job.
Thank you.
So there's the result from the junior race. Scott Huntley taking the victory by 1.3 to Harry Graham. Toby Baldry in third from Callum Gunning and Ben Gartside. Nicky Taylor sixth from Dylan Reed and George Whitehouse. Sam Cunliffe and Tom Harvey rounding out the top 10 ahead of Connor Brown and Alicia Barmowski, who once again is the top novice. Joe Sheppy and Morgan Cole in 13th and 14th ahead of Jack Rigg, Dylan Brierley, then Lewis Berry, Zach Parkinson, VJ Ramlal, Will Vincent, and unfortunately out of the race, Tom Davison after an incident earlier on. That's the junior race coming to a conclusion with Scott Huntley taking the first victory of the day. Over to the Super Elites. Can they do any better than that? The beautiful Welsh countryside has given us some great entertainment in the first 4 races of the birelART UK Series paddock thus far this weekend, and we're back into the action again here in the juniors with the 100cc engines. A brilliant drive in the first race saw Scott Huntley march away from pole position to take an unchallenged victory, but there's a lot of great challenges behind him. There is, of course, Harry Graham battling away with Toby Baldry for those 3 positions and the podiums. And then, of course, Callum Gunning there in 4th place in the 108 kart, desperately trying to get more points away from Harry Graham in the championship battle. But the star turn of that race for me was the 93 in 5th position on the grid. Ben Gartside really showing his form in that race. Fantastic to see him up there in the top 6, fighting for supremacy on merit. 6th place, Nicky Taylor, frustrated by the first race, but there is still every chance he can fight his way through and get back on the podium once again. And then, of course, we have the likes of those 4 drivers who made a great race of it in the top 10. Dylan Reed, George Whitehouse, Sam Cunliffe and Tom Harvey, all very much established guards now in the top 10 fight. Good to see the leading rookie from last year, Connor Brown, finishing 11th in that race ahead of the contender for leading rookie this year, Alicia Parmowski, who fought her way through, passing as many karts as she could over the course of the race. Some good battles behind as well, the likes of Joe Sheppy, Jack Rigg and Morgan Cole making progress throughout. So there's a lot of good driving to come in this one as the racers continue to battle away for supremacy. But in this 5th race out of 9 today, at the moment, if you're wearing red and white, things are going quite well. Scott Huntley, pole position in the qualifying, victory in the first race by 1.3 seconds. But can he do it twice in one weekend? So far, he has been questing many times over. Finally got his taste of victory that he was after at Wilton Mill last time out, of course. And now that he's got that victory dais done, he wants to keep doing it. Brilliant result thus far in the 2018 campaign for Scott Huntley, and it looks like a top 3 fight in the championship is definitely on the cards. But we'll have to see how this Glan Y Gors Park weekend plays out for him. So far, so good. Just do that again 2 more times, Scott, and all will be merry and bright. But Harry Graham, that man there, the number 3, will be fighting to keep himself towards the top end of the grid. But the man directly behind him, on 4th on the grid, Callum Gunning, won the first 5 races of the year, don't forget. So he is obviously going to be one to keep an eye on. But Nicky Taylor, in behind him on that side of the grid, has been challenging for the victories for the last 18 months in the Junior Championship. He's come close many, many times over. Perhaps this is the weekend he will get his ultimate ambition in the birelART Junior Championship. Such amazing talents that we've seen come in and out of this paddock over the years, of course, and these guys are basically making their first starts and their first step up towards the top of motor racing. We've already mentioned on the earlier live stream, as we are live on the birelART UK Series Facebook page, as well as Karting Magazine and Downforce UK's Facebook pages. There's a lot of great talent that's come out of this paddock and gone on to massive things in the world of motor racing. Several of our cadets have gone on to national karting status. Obviously, we've also seen the likes of Esme Hawkey, being a runner-up in the Junior Championship, and now she races for the Porsche GB contingent in the likes of Britcar and GT Cup and various other sports car championships as well. And of course, Jake Hughes, not too long ago, started his racing career in the birelART UK Series and now is a race winner in the GP3 Series on the Formula One weekend. So you really can make it all the way to the pinnacle with a good start in the birelART UK Series. Great to see the talented racers on this starting grid. Very close indeed, the 21 racers in this field. So as they get themselves ready for that green flag lap, we'll talk you through the grid one by one as the drivers are getting around this Glan Y Gors Park circuit. And we'll go through the grid rundown in detail as we basically have a starting order that reflects the finishing order from race 1. And it's Scott Huntley who, of course, takes that pole position, which he had in the first race. After checking out in race 1, he holds that inside line for the first corner. Harry Graham, championship battler, alongside him on that front row of the grid from Toby Baldry, and the man who won the first 5 races of the year, Callum Gunning, in 4th. Ben Gartside, a fantastic 5th position. Alongside him on the starting grid on the 3rd row is Nicky Taylor. Dylan Reed and George Whitehouse are still keeping themselves nice in position there on the 4th row of the grid. And then we have Sam Cunliffe and Tom Harvey there on that 5th row of the starting grid. Just outside the top 10, Connor Brown and Alicia Parmowski are side by side each other on the 6th row of the grid, with Joe Sheppy on row 7. Alongside him is the home hero, Morgan Cole, flying the flag for Wales. In 15th and 16th on the grid, it is Jack Rigg and Dylan Briley on the 8th row of the starting grid. Lewis Berry and Zach Parkinson are there together on the 9th row of the starting grid. And just rounding out the top 20, we have Vijay Ramlal and Will Vincent, the 2 novices who are battling away together. And at the back of the grid is Tom Davison after a very difficult first race where he had to pull off the circuit 2 laps from the finish. So expect him to fight his way forward from that 21st position on the grid. He certainly won't want to be there again, considering his qualifying pace saw him right on the back of the top 6. So Davison is very fast around here. He'll be making some good overtaking moves from that position. And we'll see quite a few moves through the course of this race. It's not going to be too long now before Megan blows the whistle and releases the karts out onto the circuit for the 2 rolling laps around the circuit. And then we will be racing once again in the junior contingent. Gorgeous sunshine here at Glan Y Gors Park. Great racing from that first race. An incredibly close grid of as good as makes no difference. A second covering the entire field in the juniors. A full credit to everybody back at the birelART UK headquarters with their amazing chassis. The Fantastic engine building and servicing that goes on through the course of the year, keeping everything nice and even. The Vega tyres, absolutely amazing over the course of proceedings, and it really breeds good strategic racing in terms of looking after those tyres on a hot circuit like Glan Y Gors Park, which is the fastest and longest circuit in Great Britain. But also great to see just how even things are on the longest circuit in Great Britain. The gap is still under a second between the front and the back. And that just gives you an indication as to just how tight the field is in the birelART UK series. If you're in the mix, you definitely have what it takes to be a champion, but it's what makes the difference in those few races that we have over the course of the weekend. And really exciting battles now as the drivers continue their season. This is as good as, makes no difference, the halfway point in the championship, certainly in terms of the period of the weeks, because of course after this one we have a 6-week break before we head to Hooton Park in Merseyside for the 6th round of the championship. The first time for a while that the championship has been to Hooton Park. But we love coming here every year. Once again, the staff and the team at Glan Y Gors have been absolutely exceptional. And as they say, this place is driven by passion, and we totally and utterly agree with it. Megan has already blown the whistle, the green flag flies, and the drivers head out onto the circuit in their 2 lines of formation. And we'll go racing for the 2nd time out of 3 for the junior class in the birelART UK junior category. And the Valley of Denbighshire now resounding and ringing to the sound of 2100cc engines. I can't do my math that quickly as to how many cc's that actually is. I think it's something in the region of about 2100 cc's. So very exciting to see that much noise and excitement and colour and sparks flying. Brilliant to see the drivers pushing all the way around this circuit. Very tricky and tight circuit this, of course. Very fast straight. You're basically on the throttle from the penultimate corner on the circuit all the way up to the top of the hill at turn 3. But that just gives you an amazing run around this circuit, and the drivers really enjoying the battle. So who's going to emerge as the junior winner this time? We seem to have had various different winners the last couple of weekends, as drivers are trying to pull off hat-tricks and not really managing it the last couple of weekends. It's been very close indeed. So how is it going to work out championship-wise this time? The birelART juniors are still going to be very, very close, as they now start to form up in their 2 rows as they come up over the compression complex. The drivers are still running around very nicely indeed. Scott Huntley and Harry Graham at the front of this grid from Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning. We'll keep an eye on Graham and Gunning, because those 2, of course, are the ones who have won the most races over the course of the season thus far. But Glan Y Gors Park has definitely shaken up the order a little bit and given a few of the other drivers, such as Scott Huntley, Toby Baldry, and Ben Gartside and Nicky Taylor, a whiff of opportunity to move their way forward as well. So this is going to be an interesting second race. They come out of that final turn now, and this is going to be when the drivers are going to get up to speed. Are we going to get a clean start? Yes, we do. Absolutely fantastic getaway from the leader, Scott Huntley. Graham moves from the outside to the inside and is already attacking the race leader, Scott Huntley, as they go up the hill. Graham wants to get on with this early and get into the lead. In fact, it looks like the 2 of them are going to break clear early doors, and they have already made their inroads into the move as Ben Gartside gets up the inside of Callum Gunning, who's off on the turn, and Gartside's gone off the road as a result. Gunning on the inside of Gartside. They bang wheels, and Gartside has nowhere to go but off the road. Now, how much curb did Gunning take to get that move done? It's going to be an interesting one to look back on if we can. And off the curbs, that is a bit of an off there for Will Vincent. Will Vincent just running off the top of the hill there. It's very easy to do to get the kart wide. Unfortunately, when you get 2 wheels on the grass, there's nowhere to go but backwards. So the top 3 is the same as race 1, but Nicky Taylor has fought his way through to 4th place. Nicky Taylor's now in P4. So it's Huntley, Graham, Baldry, Taylor, Gunning and Reed. Now we should be able to get our live timing back on the screen at some point, but for the moment there is a slight error. We apologise for that. Oh, there it is. We now have it back. Oh, and there's contact further back. Somebody's lost a bit of their bodywork, and the front nose cone has come off somebody. I think that looks like Joe Sheppy, who has lost his nose there, the 123. We'll double check as we look up and over the hill, but I think that is Joe Sheppy in trouble. Somebody has definitely lost their front bumper. It's not Sheppy, it's Gartside. Things going from bad to worse for Ben Gartside there at the top of the hill. Gartside trying to make up his progress, and he's straight back into the pits and out of the race. That's a real shame. So Gartside really out of luck this time round, and Vincent out of the race as well, I gather. So Vincent unfortunately spinning out of the race, and Ben Gartside out of luck as well. Nicky Taylor is working with Callum Gunning to get into the back of Toby Baldry as they fight over third position. 2 retirements, unfortunately, in that first lap. So Scott Huntley and Harry Graham battling away then for the lead of the race. And Graham really is on the back of Scott Huntley. He's not going to have it all his own way this time, is he? Baldry, Taylor, and the rest of the field in the mix there as well. 5th position is Gunning, 6th is Reed, then it's Cunliffe, Harvey, Connor Brown, and Alicia Palmowski in the top 10. There's an absolutely amazing squabble further back. We've got Sheppy, Ramlau, Berry, Davison, and at the back of the queue, that is Dylan Briley. A really exciting squabble between those drivers at the far end. Now, for some reason, Tom Davison is not coming up on the live timing monitor. I'm not entirely sure why, but Tom Davison is definitely in the mix. Oh, and there's an off. That's George Whitehouse. George Whitehouse has gone off down at the bottom of the hill. So Whitehouse has had a moment there in the battle with Morgan Cole and Zach Parkinson. So unfortunately, he's down the order. Now, for some reason, the 100, Tom Davison is not transponding. So whether they've just forgotten to put his transponder on or not, I don't know, but he is now tucked in there behind Joe Sheppy in the battle for 14th position. And there's a black and white flag that's gone out that time by, and that is for the 116 of Jack Rigg. So Rigg is being given a warning there. I'm not entirely sure what incident that's for, as Graham now tries to make his move on the inside of Huntley. Huntley squeezes him just enough. Very close racing between those two at the front of the field, and as they tighten up, Baldry's going to get closer, so is Taylor, so is Gunning. It's going to be 5 of them battling away for the victory this time. So Huntley leads the way, Graham in 2nd place, Baldry 3rd from Taylor and Gunning. Then it is Dylan Reed in front of Cunliffe and Tom Harvey. Connor Brown is 9th, and Alicia Palmowski's in a brilliant 10th place. And if she stays where she is, I think that's going to be her first top 10 finish of the season. But then Morgan Cole is in 11th position closing up. Parkinson and Jack Rigg are not far away either. There's still plenty of race action to come in this one. Huntley's trying to hold on. Graham's got the lead, that's why. Graham's got the lead, so Graham has taken the lead from Scott Huntley. Huntley's got a chance to come back again, but Harry Graham has hit the front for the first time this weekend. So Harry Graham in the lead from Huntley in 2nd, Baldry in 3rd, Taylor in 4th, already starting to get inroads into Baldry. Gunning's not far away. And there's a bit of a battle behind them as Cunliffe goes for the inside of Dylan Reed. Reed defends it, so no change there. But Graham out in front. 2nd place now, Scott Huntley from Toby Baldry, Nicky Taylor and Callum Gunning as they go back up the hill. Then it's Reed, Cunliffe, Harvey, Brown, Palmowski, Cole, Parkinson and Rigg. Joe Sheppy leads the charge behind them. Vijay Ramlal is having a much better day at the office in this 2nd race. Going much better in 15th place, hanging on in front of Tom Davison. Then it's Berry, Briley, Whitehouse, and that's all she wrote for the moment. Let's see how they continue to work their way through the fast parts of the circuit. The fastest lap of the race is the E-plate. Sam Cunliffe, there he is at the front of this train. Tom Harvey there behind him. And then we've got Dylan Reed and Connor Brown in the mix. So Cunliffe is getting on with this big time. Up to 6th position comes Sam Cunliffe. He is the biggest Senna fanboy in the paddock, and that's even including Scott Huntley. Up the hill they go. And Scott Huntley still pushing on the back of Harry Graham for the lead. Nicky Taylor now sets the fastest lap of the race. Taylor going for the move on the inside of Baldry and takes 3rd position. Nicky Taylor makes the move there on Baldry. Baldry's going to come straight back at him for the inside line. And I don't think Toby's going to get that one go. No, he doesn't. Into 3rd place goes Baldry once again. And these 3 have now fallen off the pair in the lead of the race. So Cunliffe in front of Tom Harvey, who's worked his way up to 7th place now in front of Dylan Reed. Then it is Connor Brown and Alicia Palmowski. Down through the compression complex, Graham and Huntley still the leading drivers. Baldry in 3rd position in front of the fastest man of the race, Nicky Taylor. Now it's Harry Graham, fastest lap of the race at 43.599. 6th position is Cunliffe trying to catch these 3. There he is with Harvey and Reed in pursuit. The leading 2 seem to have broken clear. Graham now chased down by Scott Huntley, and up the inside, Nicky Taylor having a look at Toby Baldry, but not really getting close enough to make the braking zone move. Such a tough corner to overtake on, of course, that left-hander that sweeps round and you get the right line, or you get onto the marbles and it's all gone wrong from there. There's only one racing line through that double left-hander, effectively. You've got to get it absolutely nailed, spot on every time. Graham, Huntley, Baldry, Taylor and Gunning. Then it is Cunliffe, Harvey, Reed, Brown, and then Parmowski in front of Zach Parkinson, Morgan Cole and Jack Rigg, who are battling away for 11th place. A really exciting battle, this one. For the lead of the race, it is still these two, but for third place, Toby Baldry's hanging on in front of Nicky Taylor and Callum Gunning. He's having to make that cart as wide as possible with 3 minutes plus 1 lap left. So Toby Baldry's still getting on with this in third position. He could really do with a weekend full of podiums, and he's looking at that at the moment as Gunning again attacks on Nicky Taylor, trying to find his way through, and it's not happening at the moment. They come into that final section of the course, and it's still Harry Graham in front of Scott Huntley. Toby Baldry in front of Nicky Taylor and Callum Gunning. Taylor making a mistake out of that final corner. And there's still time to make up. There's a great squabble further back for 6th place. Look at these guys. Here they come. Cunliffe, Harvey. And then we've got Reed, Brown and Parmowski, and they're all very close together. They could join the back of this trio for 3rd place at this point. Here on the inside comes Gunning. Gunning makes the move on Nicky Taylor. Taylor's going to try and get him straight back again, but Taylor is compromised on the way through that double left-hander, sorry. Up to the compression complex they come. Then it's Cunliffe, Harvey, Reed, Brown and Parmowski. Those 5 carts in the mix for 6th to 10th. New fastest lap of the race this time from Scott Huntley to get the gap back down to 0.29 as they come across the line this time. An even faster lap, not in the offing really, as Baldry now has Gunning, Taylor and Cunliffe trying to close up. Jack Rigg sets a personal best time, but he stays in 13th place for the moment as they battle away. Great little tussle this between Dylan Reed, Connor Brown and Alicia Parmowski, 8th, 9th and 10th. Alicia Parmowski, once again, is the leading rookie, and she's working very hard to make up more progress out of the top 10 and move her way forward into the top 6 if she can, but there's a long way to go to get that position made. 4 places to make up and only a minute and a half plus 1 extra additional lap to go. And Harry Graham and Scott Huntley have the order sorted out at the front at the moment. Baldry, Gunning and Taylor are next. Then it's Cunliffe, Harvey, Reed, Brown and Parmowski. Top 10 have now got well clear of the rest, but it's still all to play for in this top run. The new fastest lap for Harry Graham in the lead, 43.534, as he continues to lead the progress there. And that's Connor Brown on the inside of Dylan Reed and has got the place. So Connor Brown into 8th position past Dylan Reed. And now Alicia Parmowski is having a think about going past Dylan Reed as well. If she comes up at the top of the compression complex, she may get a chance here on the run down the 3rd right. Up towards the left-hander. No room at the moment. Just got to keep on drilling that course around the card around the course. Still running well. Out of the final couple of turns, all still going fine and dandy. And the drivers at the end of this lap will be beginning their last lap. This is the penultimate lap of the race, and it looks to me as though Tom Harvey's getting a good run on Sam Cunliffe. Can he get through on the inside? No. Good defensive driving from Cunliffe as Parmowski again tries to make a move on the inside of Dylan Reed. Up and over the curbs. Is there a way through for Parmowski? She's going to try again, but Dylan Reed holding fast on that inside line. As the leaders are going to come through this time, Harry Graham and Scott Huntley, they will go into the final lap of the race here, and it looks to me as though Graham and Huntley are going to remain at that 1 and 2 at the front end of the field. Here's the last lap board. So the leaders come through one more time of asking, and Harry Graham has well and truly joined this race up for, as far as he's concerned, got himself into a smooth position. Scott Huntley still giving him plenty to do. But at the moment, it is Harry Graham who leads the way from Scott Huntley. Huntley taking the victory in the first one. Graham taking it in the second by the look of it if he keeps it together. Baldry still battling away for 3rd position. This time he's got Callum Gunning all over the back of him. Gunning will want to get that top 3. And he's still working hard to get one over on Toby Baldry. He's not got a lot of time left to go for it as he tries to dive on the inside. Cuts back across, and I'm not sure he's going to get there now. The checkered flag is going to fly, and it's going to be for Harry Graham out of the final turn. Harry Graham wins his first race of the weekend. Huntley in 2nd. Baldry is 3rd from Callum Gunning and Nicky Taylor. 6th for Cunliffe, 7th for Harvey, 8th for Reed, and 9th for Alicia Parmowski, with Morgan Cole cracking the top 10. Connor Brown drops down the order on the last lap. Connor Brown has actually stopped at the top of the hill. There is Connor Brown's kart, stationary at the top of the hill. On the last lap, he got into the war zone by the look of it. So Alicia Parmowski finishes 9th, her first top 10 finish, and Morgan Cole is back in the top 10 for the first time in a long time. Good to see him where he belongs again. So a tricky race for some, a cracking race for others. For Harry Graham, it's business as usual. Another victory from his 4th straight weekend in the championship. He's looking good for the title if things keep up as they are, especially with his chief rivals, Callum Gunning and Dylan Reed, outside the top 3. Well, this is the weekend when Scott Huntley really gets himself into the championship fight. A win and a second for him, but a second and a win for Harry Graham as well. So very good performances from them. Toby Baldry completing the podium again, with Callum Gunning in 4th position in front of Nikki Taylor. So the result is all sorted, and a fantastic victory it was this time for Harry Graham in front of Scott Huntley by 0.6 of a second. Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning in 3rd and 4th. Nikki Taylor, Sam Cunliffe, Tom Harvey and Dylan Reed. Alicia Parmowski in the top 10 for the first time as the leading novice, and Morgan Cole in 10th position. Zach Parkinson in 11th from Jack Rigg, ahead of Joe Sheppy and George Whitehouse. VJ Ramlau doing a good job that time to finish 15th, ahead of Tom Davison, Dylan Briley, Lewis Berry, Connor Brown, and then our retirees, unfortunately, Ben Gartside and Will Vincent. So a very exciting battle then in the birelART Juniors, the penultimate race of their weekend. They've got their final coming up, but of course the next race on the bill, as Connor Brown is going to get a recovery job down to the bottom of the hill in the 103. A real shame for Connor Brown. It was going very well up until that point, but unfortunately it's not going to be his moment, as he's going to have to now fight back in the final race of the weekend from the back of the grid. People have been watching at the top end of the bill here in juniors, and they've been watching from home as well. Carol Jeffs wishing Alicia a very good well done. To break into the top 10 for the first time is a great effort, and she really has earned that position. So a good race there from Alicia Parmowski, but a victory for Harry Graham keeps the championship very much in his sights as the battle continues, and we will now switch our focus to the Super Elite 125s that are next out on track. So our fluffy colleagues around the circuit are obviously trying to get a decent vantage point for the last 2 races of the weekend, as we tend to get an awful lot of woolly spectators around Glan Y Gors Park. They're all keeping an eye on what's happening around the circuit. But in the junior final, it is set to be a really exciting final race with 2 different winners from the 2 races, in Scott Huntley in the heat and, of course, Harry Graham in the pre-final. And that's where he will start this race from, the first position mark on the starting grid. As the drivers continue in this magnificent weekend. It is going to be a tough fight, though. There's lots of drivers who are going to want to go for the top step of the podium, and plenty of them who can do. That second row of the grid is also going to see Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning side by side on the second row. We'll keep an eye on Nikki Taylor in the mix as well. Here is that grid for the Junior 100 final, and it's incredibly competitive this time. Harry Graham and Scott Huntley on the front row of the starting grid, a win apiece this weekend. Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning both in the mix for the podium, but only Baldry has got there twice. Nikki Taylor and Sam Cunliffe on the third row of the starting grid. It'll be interesting to see what Cunliffe can do, as he's been making progress since the first race of the day. Tom Harvey still up there in the front end as a cadet turned junior, and Dylan Reed in 8th position on the grid, with Alicia Parmowski starting on the 5th row of the grid for the first time in her career, alongside Morgan Cole, who put himself into that top 10 after a valiant effort in the pre-final. Zach Parkinson and Jack Rigg making good progress there on the 6th row of the grid. Joe Sheppy and Tom Davison, who fought his way to 14th in the pre-final, despite not transponding, but he was there on the 7th row for this one. George Whitehouse, a struggle into 15th place. Alongside him, VJ Ramlau, who made a much better race in the second encounter. Dylan Briley and Lewis Berry side by side on the 9th row of the grid, with Connor Brown and Ben Gartside completing the top 20, with the last driver in the mix, Will Vincent, having had an early retirement from that previous race. So good to see the drivers lining up in a good line there for the Junior 100 final. Obviously, their race is coming very soon indeed, as the drivers get themselves ready and set for another close encounter. The penultimate race of the weekend and the junior final, with some absolutely heroic action to come from the drivers in this one. We'll see some great racing having gone through the entirety of the field. And now, of course, the drivers will battle for the last time of asking. But there's been no clear dominant racer in the juniors this particular weekend. As we tend to find, actually, the only time it's been completely dominant from one driver was Glan Y, the first round of the championship, for Callum Gunning, who is fourth on the grid this time. So the battle is really intense in the Junior 100 class in 2018. Both Scott Huntley and Harry Graham have won their races at a canter in both of the preceding races before this one. There might well be a third, because Toby Baldry has been getting more and more confident as the races proceed. So there's been some absolutely fantastic racing at the front end of the field. Callum Gunning in fourth position on the grid. I am a little bit surprised that Callum's not been stronger here at Glan Y Gors Park. He seems to have had a really strong performance up to this point in the previous 4 weekends. But he's there in fourth position, still banging in the points, but it has been very tough. So there is Harry Graham and Scott Huntley nattering away at the front of the grid. Just a nice chat between mechanics and drivers. In fact, in this case, it is fathers and drivers as much as it is mechanics and drivers. So good to see that there is still great relationships up and down the length and breadth of the junior grid. A lot of the drivers who come up to the top level of karting have come through the junior brigade. You've only got to look at Esme Hawkey, who a few seasons ago was the runner-up to Sam Faulkner and is now racing a Porsche in the Britcar and GT Cup brigades. And of course, a few years ago now, in the days when it used to be called Easy Kart, there was a certain Jake Hughes who took to the junior brigade, did a fantastic job as a champion, and now, of course, is winning races in GP3 on the Formula One paddock. And of course, you've also got to look at Toby Sowry, another driver who I keep forgetting was a birelART UK Series alumni and has been racing in everything from British Formula 3 to the F3 Cup and various other forms of single-seater all over Europe, and still, in my opinion, is one of the most talented single-seater drivers not currently on the Formula One weekend grid, and certainly, in my opinion, deserves to be there. But he also came out of this paddock. Great to see that there are so many incredible, talented drivers who have come in and out of this brigade. It's also a good opportunity for drivers to start their karting brigade and go on to massive things in motorsport, not just in circuit racing, but in karting as well. There are a few who have decided to brave it into the world of national karting as well, namely the cadet champions of late. Oliver Gray and Ellis Stevens have both gone that way. Sky Siddle has made the jump into Super 1 senior karting as well. So obviously this is a good proving ground for drivers in world motorsport. But a lot of drivers obviously have set their sights on massive things from this paddock. And considering that people like Jake Hughes and Toby Sowry can go on to international stardom based out of this championship, sets things pretty high for the expectations of drivers in this paddock. They all want to do on a very good job and obviously have a great performance. And there's also a driver standing right beside me, actually, who can tell me a little bit about that, actually, because Harry Barlow, as well as competing in birelART UK juniors last year and seniors this year, you've also been racing out in Europe in the European Championships, and things went quite well at Wackersdorf last week.
Yeah, it went really well, to be fair, you know, 28th out of 68, so quite happy with that for his highest finish out of the 3 rounds. You know, I can't wait for it next year to do it all again.
Of course, it's all stemmed from racing in this championship. You came through as a cadet, won there, you raced as a junior, have won races there and are now a senior. It's all come out of basically starting as a youngster, moving the way up, but you can credit all of the work that you're doing on the European scene and in other championships back to this, and you always keep coming back here because you love the racing.
Yeah, I love the racing, to be honest, because it's quite close with everyone. We're all, well, it just showed that 3 attempts between 12 of us. So, yeah, I keep coming back, and hopefully we might see me on the grid next year. I don't know yet.
The challenge has always been really close in this paddock. When you look at the juniors, last year you guys were separated in the top 10, I think, by half a second. You've now gone into the elites, and most of you, I think you've got to count about 15 to 16 drivers, and there's half a second in it. So if you blink in the wrong direction, you're a few rows down. Does the racing give you a massive satisfaction when it's that close and you know you're right at the front end of it?
Yeah, it's a lot better when we're all close and having a good fight, because if you're out on your own, it's just boring. So having the good battles that we're doing today, it does help. And even out in Wackersdorf as well, with that many of us in all having battles, it helps bringing my racecraft back to this.
Great. Really good to hear from you about it, Harry. Thank you, and hopefully we'll see you back here and in Europe as well next year.
Cheers.
Great to talk to a couple of the drivers in the paddock who have obviously had not just great success in birelART, but also move on to other things and carry that success forward. It's been a really good weekend for the junior drivers. A great battle as Harry Graham makes his way over to his kart alongside Scott Huntley. That front row of the grid's going to be fever pitch, isn't it, when they charge for that first corner. Harry Graham's going to have the advantage, of course, running that first corner line, but if you get it just about right on that front row at the first corner, you can carry the speed to the outside. But just looking now at that first corner, there is a mass of marbles on the outside line of the first corner. So when you're in the first grip of the race, those first couple of laps, you have got to be on that inside line, which I now know from yesterday's Parents and Mechanics race. That is pretty much the only line to carry the speed through if you want a perfect exit. But on that first lap, you know, when the drivers are still building up to speed, you may be able to brave it round the outside and protect the kart on the way through, still have a good run at the victory. But Harry Graham definitely in the smart position at the moment on the front of the starting grid to the inside line, with Scott Huntley in those McLaren MP44 colours in second position. It looks absolutely amazing to see a birelART UK Series Junior 100 kart in McLaren Formula One livery. It really does look the bee's knees down there. Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning, of course, alongside each other on that second row of the grid. On the third row, Nicky Taylor and Sam Cunliffe. It's really fantastic to watch these karts battle for position. No teams, of course, allowed in the birelART UK Series. It's just one driver, one mechanic, that's it. And you're certainly not allowed to run in a team operation. And what does that give us? Well, it gives us cheap, cost-effective racing, great budgets that don't go out of control. You're not spending an arm and a leg, but it also means that the racing is absolutely sensational, because it all comes down to what karting should be about, the driver. And there's 21 incredibly talented racing drivers in that field right now who, over the spread of the racing weekend, have been separated over their best lap times by just 1 second. That's incredible, isn't it? On the longest circuit in Great Britain, just a second in it. It's been absolutely amazing. So from the front of the grid to the back, we've got so many talented racing drivers. The sunshine here in the Denbighshire countryside has given us absolutely amazing circuit conditions. And the hotter the circuit, of course, the tougher it is for the drivers to keep the strategy going with their tyres, because they have to make sure that tyre management is a premium. But these Vega compounds of tyres, very, very good indeed at these sorts of conditions. They're good in the heat, they're good in the cold, and obviously the drivers have to learn to work with them if they want to get the best out of them. But you can always see the drivers that consistently get the most out of these tyres connected with these chassis. But the most impressive element of this championship has got to be the distance from the front to the back. When you consider that all of these engines are built, maintained and serviced in-house, they're all equal, they're all pooled, so everybody basically has the same chance with the same equipment, and you can see that quality and talent always rises to the top. It's why we get to see the likes of Harry Graham, the number 6 of Scott Huntley, Callum Gunning, Nicky Taylor, Sam Cunliffe, Toby Baldry, all of these guys towards the top 6. They're always in that top 6. They're always fighting for it every single time. In particular this weekend, I think Toby Baldry's really made a big quantum leap forward, and this is where he could be going for his first victory of the season. He's on that inside line. If he gets a better launch than Scott Huntley, all he needs to do is edge his nose a little bit further in, tag in behind Harry Graham, and then it can all flow from there. I can see Toby Baldry definitely retaining his podium spot at the moment. 2/3 thus far. Even a third would be good, but I have a feeling he'll want a little bit more than that from this one. Right behind him, though, Nicky Taylor is going to be absolutely determined to try and make up that pace and that progress. And of course, there's one man they've all got to keep an eye on to a certain extent at the start of this, and that's the E-plate, Sam Cunliffe, who keeps on making up places every time. He has not the best of qualifyings, and when that happens, he just charges his way forward. It gets bigger and better as the weekend goes on. So now it's time to get the racing underway, as the green flag will fly. Megan will send them out, and it's time to go racing for the final time, and Scott Huntley's not moving. Scott Huntley is not moving. Now he is. Well, that was a nightmare moment there for Scott Huntley. I thought for a horrifying moment there that he was not going to be able to take the start. We've seen dramatic races like that in the past, but Scott Huntley was all right with that one. Goodness me, that was tight. So now they're going to get back into the action once again. It's going to be Harry Graham versus Scott Huntley at the front end of the starting grid once again. The drivers will get themselves back into their grid positions. And I have to say, this is once again incredibly unpredictable. If you can always bet on one thing in the birelART UK Series junior class, that is, you will never know who is going to get the top spot. So Graham and Baldry lead them around on this formation lap, but of course Huntley and co are going to get themselves back into their allotted positions once they get into the flow around the circuit. So now the drivers are winding their way around this circuit for their final formation lap of the weekend, they hope, and certainly we all do as well. We want to get straight into the action. But a win in the heat for Scott Huntley, a win in the pre-final for Harry Graham. We may get a third different winner from this third race, or we may see either Scott Huntley or Harry Graham cement their reputation this weekend. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic finish to the weekend here at Glan Y Gors Park in the gorgeous, baking hot Denbighshire sunshine here in North Wales on the longest circuit in British karting, Glan Y Gors Park, driven by passion here in the birelART UK Series 2018 Brigade. So Graham and Huntley on the front of the grid, Baldry and Gunning on the second row, Taylor and Cunliffe. Then, of course, we have Tom Harvey alongside him. It is Dylan Reed, and then we have Alicia Parmowski and Morgan Cole in that top 10. This is going to be close as they come off the turn. It's going to be a clean start. Yes, it is. 14 minutes and 1 lap on the clock, and a great start for Huntley as he tucks in behind Graham. A cracking getaway from Baldry as well. He's going to have Callum Gunning to his left-hand side as they go up the hill. Can he hold on? The answer is yes, he does. Baldry is going to hang on to that third position start, and as they make their way through the first couple of corners, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 as they started, although Sam Cunliffe has leapt up in a fifth position and is already starting the attack on Callum Gunning. So Graham, Huntley, Baldry, Gunning, Cunliffe and the sixth place man Nicky Taylor off the start. No problems at all as everybody is through cleanly the first lap of the race. No offs this time. And as they drop through Devil's Elbow once again, Graham's got Scott Huntley breathing down his neck. Baldry in third from Gunning, Cunliffe, Taylor, Harvey, Parmowski into 8th place from Reed and Zach Parkinson, breaking into the top 10 in front of Morgan Cole. Terrific racing as they come up the hill once again. Graham and Huntley having a great run from Toby Baldry and Callum Gunning. And still Sam Cunliffe in 5th position as he tries to make headways into that top 5. So as they continue to battle away for position, it's going to be a really exciting tussle. Up the hill they come one more time with feeling. And racing down the hill into the compression complex, they come up one more time. Down through Devil's Elbow. Graham leads the way. 2nd position, Scott Huntley. 3rd is Baldry. 4th is Callum Gunning in front of Cunliffe, Taylor and Harvey. And those 7 have broken clear. Dylan Reed trying to make a move on the inside of Morgan Cole for 10th position. And it hasn't made it stick. Alicia Parmowski's got Zach Parkinson in behind. Alicia Parmowski wants to run in the top 10 for the rest of her career, doesn't she? No longer a novice from her point of view. But out in the front, it is these 7 who have broken clear. Parkinson has made the move now on Parmowski to get into 8th place. The top 7 are on their own. Graham, Huntley, Baldry, Gunning, Cunliffe, Taylor, Harvey. The 7 of them are away together, with Parkinson in front of Parmowski and Cole further up the road. And still these 7 run around together in formation. The drivers battling away over the start-finish line. They come through again and through that first corner. So they continue to battle. Good racing from the drivers as they go up the hill. Scott Huntley looking like he's lining up Harry Graham for a move into the hairpin. Not close enough this time. But Scott Huntley definitely wanting to shake off Toby Baldry, and he might be able to do that with a move on Harry Graham. From Graham's point of view, this is absolutely what he wanted. The lead of the race with his main opposition, Callum Gunning, in 4th place. And Dylan Reed, the next man in, is currently outside the top 10 in 12th place, stuck behind Jack Rigg. So from Harry Graham's point of view, he's looking likely to go into the summer break with the lead of the championship intact. Into the final turn. Graham in front of Huntley and Baldry, Gunning in 4th, Cunliffe, Taylor and Harvey giving chase. Then it's Parkinson, Parmowski, Cole, Rigg, Dylan Reed and Tom Davison. Then it's Vijay Ramlal going much faster now in the 14th place car. That last race has definitely given Ramlal a bit of a hurry up. He's working much harder here in front of Joe Sheppy and Lewis Berry. Then it's Ben Gardside trying to make up progress. Likewise George Whitehouse. Then it's Will Vincent, Connor Brown and Dylan Briley. A lot of battles through the field as Connor Brown makes his move on the inside of Dylan Briley to get him back in position. Will Vincent in front of them is causing a bit of a headache as they try and work their way through the field. Will Vincent's doing a great job getting onto the driver in front of him, which is George Whitehouse. A much faster race this from Vincent as Cunliffe is now in 4th position in front of Callum Gunning, and that's let the leading 3 break away. Sam Cunliffe has the nerve to overtake Callum Gunning and then say, let's work together, let's go catch the top 3. We'd still be on the top 3 if you hadn't overtaken me, mate, screams Callum Gunning. Down to 5th position he goes. Nicky Taylor in 6th and Tom Harvey 7th. But the leading 3 are still nicely in position. Harry Graham in front of Scott Huntley and Toby Baldry. And it looks like those 3 could be the ones challenging for the victory now, because that move from Sam Cunliffe has broken up that pack into a trio and a quartet. So Sam Cunliffe in 4th, Gunning in 5th from Taylor and Harvey. Then it's Parkinson in front of Palmowski and Morgan Cole. From Rigg, Reed, Davison, Sheppey, Ramlau, Berry and Gartside. They come off the turn and still good racing as Gartside is battling away with George Whitehouse at the back of the field at the moment as Nicky Taylor's now trying to make the move on Gunning, and Tom Harvey goes for Nicky Taylor and moves up into 6th place. So a good move there from Tom Harvey. Harvey gets into P6. And that puts him where he wants to be for the moment as he now charges after Callum Gunning. A very difficult weekend at the office this for Callum Gunning. 5th position at the moment. Still obviously a winning racing driver from the 2018 season. Came out of the blocks much faster than everybody else, but now the field seems to have gained the ground. They lost to him in the early stages, and now he's trying to get on terms with Sam Cunliffe. Tom Harvey in 6th from Nicky Taylor. Then it's Parkinson, Palmowski, Cole, Rigg, Reed, Davison and Sheppey, all in the long line. And the next queue is actually headed by Vijay Ramlal, who looks a different racing driver. He's absolutely flying this time, making up great progress. In fact, considering where he started the weekend, Vijay Ramlal is now the 2nd novice in the list. He's in front of Berry, he's in front of Vincent, and this is going much better for the 99. We'll keep an eye on him through the course of the race, because this is much more like it for the youngster who is still learning his craft, don't forget. These guys have to learn by doing, and Ramlal in the heat of the final is doing a cracking job. Graham in the lead still, Huntley in 2nd place, the new fastest lap for Scott Huntley from Toby Baldry. Gartside has now just got his way past Vijay Ramlal, but Ramlal is tagging onto the back of Gartside up the hill. So those two have a great chance to catch the 10th place battle, which is led currently, the 8th place battle, which is led by Parkinson, Palmowski and Cole. Then it is Rigg, Reed, Sheppey, and at the back of that queue is Davison. Davison's got back past Sheppey on that last lap, but if they're not careful, they're going to get caught by Gartside and Ramlal, who are absolutely storming their way round in 15th and 16th, charging away. Having a great little tussle as Nicky Taylor makes his move back on Tom Harvey. Nicky Taylor's made his move back on Harvey in behind Callum Gunning, and that puts him up to 6th place once more. Here's the battle for 8th place as Morgan Cole gets on the inside of Alicia Palmowski. Palmowski being crowded by Reed. Oh, and Reed's gone up over the top. That's Rigg, sorry. Rigg's gone over the top. And Davison spins to avoid after a tag with Sheppey. Let's have a look at that one back. That was Jack Rigg trying to get up the inside of Alicia Palmowski. Cole made the initial move and got through no problem. Palmowski was there to the outside. Cole got through. Rigg committed. Palmowski was still there. They just rubbed wheels, and that was enough to tip Rigg into a spin. Davison just got tagged by Rigg as he went around, and Davison managed to tag Sheppey as well. But that was so nearly a massive accident. They were very close to get away with that one, but unfortunately it was Rigg, Davison and Sheppey who came off of that one worse off. So it shuffled the deck of cards a little bit. So Graham still leads the way, Huntley in 2nd place and Baldry in 3rd. It's those 3 well out in front. Look at Baldry now, really stepping up the attack on the back of Scott Huntley and Harry Graham. Baldry is going to be the man who could challenge for the victory now, because he's there in 3rd place behind Huntley and Graham, and he seems to have looked after his tyres very well in the first phase of the race. Now he's got good rhythm and good pace. This could be Baldry's opportunity to grab a victory. Gunning in 4th, Cunliffe is 5th from Taylor and Harvey. Then it's Parkinson, Cole and Dylan Reed up to 10th place now, in front of Alicia Palmowski in 11th, still the leading rookie. Then it's Gartside and Ramlal. Ramlal in front of Whitehouse. Great driving this from Vijay Ramlal, only 2 places off the top novice now. Still going strong. Down the hill. A really exciting battle in the midfield in the juniors. We always knew it was going to be. They go through the double left-hander, up the hill once more. But it's Graham, Huntley and Baldry fighting over the victory. 0.6 of a second between them as they come through. Fourth place, Callum Gunning has finally shaken off Sam Cunliffe, having got through and made his way up to fourth place. He's now setting his sights on the leaders. You can see them in front of him, but they're dangerously far in front with 5 minutes and 1 lap on the clock. Nicky Taylor's got a good run through that first corner, but Tom Harvey's got even stronger through that first corner. As they go up the hill once again. The 8th place battle getting very fierce at the moment. Parkinson, Cole and Dylan Reid. So it looks to me as though we've got a bit of an issue. Oh, it's a black flag. There's a black flag and it's for the 116. That is for Jack Rigg. So the officials have decided that that incident was therefore at the foot of Jack Rigg. So they have elected to penalise Jack Rigg for that incident. That's a real shame. It's a very marginal error, but I kind of see where they were going with there because Jack Rigg kept his foot in. They didn't leave, I suppose you could argue, he didn't leave Alicia Barmowski a lot of space in that incident. But it seems that Jack Rigg has been given the black flag for that particular manoeuvre. And that's a real shame. He's had a very strong start to the weekend through testing. Meanwhile, there's a good battle going on further up as Ramlal is trying to get his move on the inside of Gartside and defends beautifully to Whitehouse on the top of the hill. This race has suddenly given Vijay Ramlal a bit of an injection of gusto. Here we go. I'm going for it now. It's all about confidence, this championship. The second you get some behind you, it's infectious and it's contagious. Everyone around you seems to develop a second wind of speed. The leaders come through again. Graham, Huntley and Baldry. There's about a cart length between each of them as they come through. Still no major dramas at the front end of the field. There's been a couple further back as Callum Gunning sets his personal best lap time. Nicky Taylor's there still in 5th position with Cunliffe and Harvey still in the mix. Parkinson in 8th, Cole is 9th and Dylan Reid is in 10th in front of Alicia Barmowski, Ben Gartside and Vijay Ramlal with Whitehouse and Connor Brown. And it looks to me as though there's a mechanical flag going out as well, and that is for Tom Davison. Tom Davison, unfortunately, has been given a meatball flag there, the mechanical flag. So clearly in that incident, he had some damage to the car. And unfortunately, Davison is going to be out of the race, whatever happens. That's a real shame. So Davison looks to be out of this race already. Unfortunately, he has parked up the cart in the pit lane. So Davison out of luck. This battle for the lead is just dialing in now because Scott Huntley has decided, okay, Toby, I'm getting a bit wound up by you now, mate. I'm going after the leader. Harry Graham is now his next target. Never mind his next victim. So Harry Graham is getting a little bit of a hurry up now from Scott Huntley, who decided that victory feeling in race 1 was a very sweet one indeed. He wants to get it back. Harry Graham leads the way from Scott Huntley. Toby Baldry right there at 3rd position. Big lunge in the final turn from Tom Harvey up the inside of Sam Cunliffe. And Cunliffe has nothing he can do about it. Tom Harvey is through and takes over the place. So Harvey is up into 6th place on Cunliffe. Parkinson's still 8th from Cole, Reid, Parmowski, Gartside, Whitehouse now in front of Ramlal from Connor Brown, Joe Sheppy, Lewis Berry, Dylan Brierley, and Will Vincent, I think, has pulled off the circuit and retired as well, unfortunately. A difficult first race back in the championship for Will Vincent. He should have been there from the first round of the championship, of course, but an injury pre-season kept him out of competition. So Vincent is back, but unfortunately, a lot of work to do. So Vincent out, Rigg out, and Davison out. This is going to be an absolutely incredible fight for the victory between these three. We're getting into the closing stages of it now as well, as the battle continues between these top 3 drivers. Harry Graham leading the way, Scott Huntley in 2nd place, Toby Baldry in 3rd, as there's only half a second between them the last time they came across the line. These 3 will be battling away big style for the victory here. And now Harry Graham is on the march for his 2nd win of the weekend. Scott Huntley wants it too, and Toby Baldry wants his 1st win of the season. They continue to fight on. They come into the final turn, and by my math, we've got 3 laps to go. They come up the hill one more time. Can Scott Huntley get close enough to Harry Graham to challenge for the victory? Nicky Taylor in 5th, behind Callum Gunning, behind these guys. Then it's Harvey and Cunliffe, and then we've got Parkinson, Cole, Reed and Palmowski. A four-way scrap for the positions that were back. Now Vijay Ramlal's slipped down into 15th place of late, still sets his fastest lap of the race in there behind Connor Brown, but lots of progress being made as these drivers continue to battle away. Harry Graham has got Scott Huntley all over the back of him. He now knows that this is his best chance to go for the victory. Scott Huntley is waiting for his opportune moment. He knows where Graham is vulnerable. He knows where he himself is strong, and there's still time. 2 to go. Penultimate lap, and there's a good run out of the final turn from Scott Huntley. He's really dialed in Graham. He won't make the move at the top of the hill, but he's got him dialed in, ready for the next couple of corners. So Huntley just takes his moment. He's not going to go for the move there. It's too high risk. Dropping down the hill one more time. There's an opportunity now as Baldry coasts his way round behind these two. Graham still leads the way. Huntley in second, Baldry in third. Can Huntley get close enough to Graham? That's the real question here, because Graham's been very strong in this last couple of sectors of the race. So now I think it's all going to be about whether Graham makes a mistake, and if Huntley gets a perfect lap. Here we go, last lap, here we go. Last time of asking around this Glan Y Gors circuit, and for me it looks as though it's going to be between these two up front, Harry Graham and Scott Huntley, but the gap crucially is 0.3 of a second as they come across the line, and that's a lot for Scott Huntley to make up on this last lap, but Graham is beatable. We know this of old. Toby Baldry's right there in third position, looking for a way to come by. There's a titanic scrap further back for 8th place, which we'll try and stay on top of as well. But it looks like these three are going to run in formation for the entirety of. They've run brilliantly. They've been second-guessing each other all the way round. But the podium finishers have pushed each other to the limit. And it's going to be Harry Graham in the final bend. Harry Graham wins it. 2 wins out of 3 from Scott Huntley in second and third for Toby Baldry. Oh, great weekends for all three of them. Gunning is 4th, Taylor is 5th from Tom Harvey and Sam Cunliffe, and in the final bend, Morgan Cole's done it! In the final bend, Morgan Cole snatches 8th place in the final turn. Zach Parkinson 9th, 10th for Dylan Reed from Alicia Palmowski, George Whitehouse 12th from Ben Gardside, Connor Brown, a much improved Vijay Ramlal, Joe Sheppy, Dylan Briley, Lewis Berry, and then our retirement, sadly, Will Vincent, Jack Rigg and Tom Davison, but what a race up at the front. 3 drivers at the sharp end, never even blinking for a moment, and they ended up separated the top 3 by just 0.7 of a second. Absolutely brilliant, and great to see that sort of battle all the way through to the victory dais. It's been great to see the racing here in the birelART UK Junior Series. And of course, with birelART being an international brand, we've got people watching all over the world. In fact, the Brazilian arm of birelART is watching along with Nathaniel Marapleta going well there and giving us some nice support from the Brazilian contingent. Of course, there is birelART championships all over the world, in Italy, in Germany, in the Middle East. Also, of course, there are birelART series in Brazil, Colombia, and in Barbados. And it's great to see so many fantastic supporters from all around the world watching us, no matter where they are from. So let's round up the result then after an absolutely fantastic battle in what has been a great final in the birelART Juniors. We rounded up by giving you the final result. It is Harry Graham who takes the final victory dais then from the second place man Scott Huntley, and Toby Baldry in third position. Callum Gunning in 4th from Nicky Taylor. Tom Harvey in 6th place from Sam Cunliffe, and a very valiant Morgan Cole grabbing 8th on the final bend from Zach Parkinson. Dylan Reed claims the 10th spot from Alicia Palmowski. The leading rookie in all 3 races, George Whitehouse 12th from Ben Gardside and Connor Brown. An absolutely fantastic battle between them all after a thrilling encounter there in the Junior 100 final. There's just one race to go here at Glan Y Gors Park, and it's the Super Elite 125 finale.